Hey guys, we have arrived in Salem. I want everything in the store, but I'm trying to save money, so just a lot of restraint right now. So I'm in love with all the stores here and want to buy everything, but I'm trying to restrain myself because I need to pay my phone bill in like a week. And I want to get my fortune told, but Amy's like, Lisa, you can't afford it. She's put me back to reality. So Amy got something. I'm gonna live vicariously through her. We're gonna watch her open it. It was like a mystery box that you just, whichever one calls you, pick up, and then has random crystals in it. So yeah. Ooh, what you got?
Adventuring topaz. And clamshell.
Clamshell? What do they mean?
Remember I was saying I really like the colour of this one though.
Oh yeah. Oh my god, you were saying that. So Amy has wanted that colour crystal for a while, so are you happy with them?
Yes, sis.
Cheers! Hey guys, Amy's filming for me right now because I have nothing to prop it up on, but we just did a walking tour of Salem, which was amazing. I think Amy loved it too, didn't you?
Mm-hmm.
Amy's not even it was a really good tour to kind of figure out and learn about the history of Salem and the history and everything, which I think is the main reason we came here. And we were brought to two places where Hocus Pocus was filmed, Town Hall and where Alan's house was, which was really cool to see. Also got a lot of kind of ghost stories. One story about a young lady who was I don't want to give the whole story because it's a long story, but basically she was killed and her body was hidden and buried away because these two guys were paid off to hire her body and whatnot, but her body still haunts the building she was buried in, and they actually need a drink after. She died on her wedding day per se, and she was in a blue dress, so there was the drink. It's now a restaurant, the building is, and the drink's called the Lady in Blue. Is it? That's called the Lady in Blue. Amy and I had it. It was actually really nice. It had Captain Morgan Malibu, which is my favourite, so I love that. And then we were brought to the most haunted house in Salem, which is now a hotel, funnily enough. I would actually stay there if I had the chance to just, I don't know, see will I be haunted. But one of the, was in the house, Amy, the sheriff was from there.
Yeah.
The sheriff that lived there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the sheriff was there.
So there was a sheriff that lived there who was, I think, accused of being a witch.
No, he was called the Strangler, and he was like the one who usually.
Oh yeah, there's a sheriff that lived there. Thank you. There's a sheriff that lived there who was called the Strangler because he was
violent.
an awful person basically who tortured people in this house. So obviously, of course, that's the most haunted place in Salem. Around there, during the time there was a party, and everyone who entered the party was had the photo taken on a Polaroid picture, and then one of the ladies that got the picture taken, once the photo developed, actually was a witch, showed up in the photo, and on the same night there was a scream from upstairs, and a lot of people ran upstairs to see what the commotion was about, and there's this lady who was pinned against the wall, as if like someone's holding her against her throat, pinned against the wall, and it took 3 men to pull her, to get her off the wall, and once they did, they absolutely saw the finger marks on her throat as if there was something holding her up against. So once that happened, obviously the party was over.
But he's, remember, he was cursed.
Okay, so there was a guy who was accused of being a witch, and once, like just before he was sentenced to death, or while he was dying being sentenced to death, he cursed the sheriff, the Strangler, and cursed him and cursed Salem. And then
Where he said there'd be blood, and then he died with loads of blood in his mouth and he had a heart attack.
the sheriff.
Yeah, the sheriff died.
Yeah.
They found loads of blood in his throat because he
died of it. So like a few years later he died. The sheriff did.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, the sheriff died a few years later of a heart attack, and then found loads of blood in his throat, and it kind of, because he was cursed, and the man who cursed him said there'd be a lot of blood, curse you, the sheriff, and curse Salem. It was kind of like, oh, the curse was true. And since that sheriff died, every other sheriff since him died of causes that were related to like heart attacks or blood involved, wasn't it? I think
I don't know.
every other sheriff died of those kind of a heart attack or a stroke or like kind of something to do with internal something. I don't know. Each sheriff died suspiciously or whatnot. So that resulted in Salem now not having a sheriff's department because every sheriff since then has died, and the curse has shown to be real. So now the closest sheriff's department is in the town next to Salem. Even though Salem's like the prime spot for have a sheriff's department, there isn't one because of the curse that was wished upon the Strangler, which is interesting because I never knew that before. After we went to the haunted house, we went to the Witch Trials Memorial, which there was a kind of a grass area, and around it was a wooden a stone wall with kind of just pillars on it, 20 pillars, because there were 20 people executed during the witch trials, kind of just memorial to them. And it was a stone wall, and then at the back of the wall it was kind of a steel pole gate into a graveyard, which was the graveyard where the judges were buried who sentenced these people to death, kind of symbolizing like you now have to be near or watch down over the people that you sentenced to death. So we also learned how the witch trials actually started, which was this family, was it a reverend, I think it was?
I do not remember.
I can't remember. He moved there with his 3 daughters and his wife, and the wife was bedbound, so he practically because he was so busy he couldn't raise daughters on his own because the wife was bedbound. They also brought over their nanny, let's say nanny.
I think she was their servant or something.
They brought over their servant who was from Barbados.
Yeah.
One day, they were talking to the servant, and the servant was she did this thing where they broke an egg into water or something, and then they read what the egg should look in the water. It's kind of like reading tea leaves full with eggs or something like that. The example was if you saw a Bible, you'd be like, you marry a reverend in the future. If you saw
a ship or an anchor, you married a captain or something. But the youngest daughter saw a coffin, I think it was. Like she saw a coffin. When she saw it, she screamed, and they were asking her what she saw, and she said she saw a coffin. So obviously there's a lot of death in her future. Which, funny enough, the death was actually caused by her, because in the future she's accused 50 people of being a witch, or a lot of people. So she ended up having to be the reason that was a lot of death in her future. Her own fault, really, but it was a whole thing. And then I think a few days later, a week later, something like that, the 3 daughters started acting really strange, started like barking at people, laughing in church.
Back then, if you laughed in church, you were laughing in the face of God, so you were ruled by the devil or something like that. It was just what they believed back then. So people believed, people said they're acting crazy. Like, why are they acting crazy? And the only thing they could think of was they were possessed by a witch. And I think the father had to go back to Barbados for a while, and then he oversaw their slave being handed this book that was something to do with witches or witch spells or something like that. So she obviously was accused of being the witch that possessed his daughters or bewitched his daughters. So she was the first accused witch in Salem, and she was very smart in that sense. Of when she was accused, she said, she made up a story. She's like, oh yeah, I saw this man in the woods, and he was wearing dressed in all black, so he presumed to be the devil, and he asked me to sign his book to become a witch, and I did. When she signed her name, there were also eight other signatures before hers. So she was really smart in that sense, because she was kind of valuable to the people. Like, she's like, oh, there's 8 other witches in this town, and I know them and you don't, so you need me, kind of thing. And she gave them 2 other names. She accused, around the time the first 2 witches that were accused were practically, they were kind of the less fortunate. So one was a homeless woman, and the other was, I think, bedbound. So back then, if you never attended mass or didn't attend any service like that, you were a suspect, because it was weird how you weren't attending mass. And this one was bedbound, so she was a suspect because, I don't know, just that reason why. So those are 2 two people she named, they were also accused of sentenced to death, but she didn't tell them the other names she heard. She didn't tell them the other names she saw, because if she did, then she'd be sentenced to death. So they kept her around just in case she'd remember the names. And then in the end, she never was killed. She was imprisoned or something during that time it was trial, but she never was killed because she was a valuable asset, hoping one day she'll remember the names. So once the witch trial ended, she was released and lived on and everything, but she was very smart in the way she thought it. And one of the things I asked the tour guide when we were there, I was like, was there any people out there who acted strange to not be accused? And he was like, he said he didn't think any of that happened. And I was like, well, that would have been very smart in my opinion. If you acted crazy, no one's going to think you're a witch. But obviously no one thought that. But my brain's weird and I think that kind of thing. But eventually, at the start of witch trials, it was first people less fortunate who were kind of accused, but then later on it ended up being a land grab, that people would accuse rich people of being witches, because once you're accused of being a witch, you give up all your land, all your land's taken away from you, all your possessions taken away from you. So eventually it was like people would accuse other people of being a witch, so all their land would be taken away from them, and then the next highest bidder would get all their possession of their land. So people would accuse a rich person and the rich person's land taken away from them, and then they bet on their land, so it ended up being a land grab. So very, very sad time, but yeah, it was an interesting tour. I loved it. I think Amy loved it too. She's nodding right now. So anyone who comes to Salem, you should definitely do a history tour, learning about it. And yeah, right now we had dinner, now we're having ice creams, and everything else is closed now, so I think we're probably just gonna head home now because there's nothing else to do. So once we finish our ice cream, it's like an hour bus ride home. I think they're done. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed watching as much as I love being here. I love the red brick, I love the local town's nice feel to it, and I recommend anyone to come here. So yeah, thank you for watching. Bye.